Hey there LEGO fans, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be unpacking another LEGO Speed Champions build. In part 1, we will be building the Chevy Corvette C8R, and in a subsequent video we will be building the 1968 Chevy Corvette, or otherwise known as the Stingray. This set of two iconic American muscle cars was released on June 1st of 2021, with a total piece count of 512 and retails for $29.99. I think that price point is a good deal because typically you are paying $19.99 for one car in the LEGO Speed Champions line. So for roughly the same piece count per car for this set, you are buying one car and effectively getting the other car for half off. Straight off the bat, I'm going to warn everybody that this build is extremely sticker heavy and probably has the higher sticker count of all the 2021 Speed Champions cars, with a whopping 31 in total. This, however, does not surprise me because I know that with all true track cars, there are liveries and sponsors emblazoned all over these type of cars. The C8R joins the Ferrari 458 Italia GT2, the Audi R8 LMS, and the 2016 Ford GT as the most sticker forward builds in the LEGO Speed Champions line. I'll be honest with you all, I'm not a fan of American muscle cars. And yes, I very may well be flamed for this comment. However, the difference is that I can appreciate the hard work and detail that goes into designing and producing one of these cars. I also admit that the C8 is probably the best looking Corvette ever produced. Oh wait, what was that sound? Oh yeah, that was the sound of die-hard Corvette enthusiasts turning in their grave and shaking their fists at me for uttering such sacrilege. As with all these Speed Champions cars, or to be honest, any LEGO car based off a real car in general, I like to talk about the different aspects of the real car. So the C8R was built to replace the old C7R for the Le Mans GT. There are many differences between the production version of the C8 and this particular C8R animal. First of all, the C8R puts down roughly 500 horsepower compared to the 495 in the production model. But the difference is not just the mere 5 horsepower. In fact, the C8R has a completely different engine. It has a 5.5 liter V8 compared to the production 6.2 liter V8. The race version of the engine has specific modifications which allow us to breathe easier and rev higher. Apparently, the C8R also features a 6-speed sequential racing gearbox, which is different from the 8-speed dual-clutch tranny in the regular production car. The 6-speed sequential transmission, I am willing to believe, gives the driver of the C8R crisper and more responsive shifts. Sadly, I'll never know because it is very unlikely that I'll ever get to drive this GT. Dimensions-wise, the C8R is around 4 inches wider and 3 inches lower than its non-race-bred counterpart. I suppose the biggest difference is the weight of the car, with the race version clocking in at 2,700 pounds and some change, and the road-legal one being 3,366 pounds. So the engineers managed to shave off nearly 633 pounds on the car, which translates to a massive improvements in nearly everything on the car, including braking, cornering, and acceleration. One part that I actually didn't film was that when you're putting the LEGO minifigure in the cockpit of the car, you need to finagle around with the minifigure to actually get it in the car. With all the other LEGO Speed Champions cars, you just need to drop the minifigure in a driving position, put the top back on the car, and you are ready to go racing. With this set, however, you need to position the minifigure in such a way that is not natural to driving. The left arm needs to be positioned all the way down or all the way up, due to a piece that is blocking the arm from resting in a more natural position. I guess the designers wanted to mimic the cramped space that is the cockpit of the C8R? I don't know. terms of the side profile of the car, I would have to say that the Lego model holds true and accurate to the real model that it is based off of. The doors of the Lego model are represented by a dark gray piece that is normally reserved for representing shields, and the arrow around the doors are represented by angular Lego pieces with stickers that go on top of them. However, the biggest notable difference between the vanilla model and the race-bred one is the aerodynamics. Gracing the back of the C8R is a massive rear wing and an equally massive rear diffuser as well as a large front diffuser. The whole point of all this aero is to increase the downforce at high speeds and reduce drag. The stock C8 is said to make around 400 pounds of downforce at 180 miles an hour with a Z51 modification on it, but I will safely assume that with all the aero on the C8R, that it makes a hell of a lot more downforce than that. As this is a race model, the suspension is stiffer, which allows for better cornering and handling. The race version also gets upgraded brakes and rotors with 6-pot calipers in front and 4-pot calipers in back for better and more responsive stops. First and foremost, the C8 has a point at the front of the hood. The Lego version unfortunately did not translate that peak very well. In fact, instead of a point on the car, the nose is completely flat, which is a bit disappointing as the front of the car gives the car its distinct character. Another gripe that I have with this car is that the front headlight stickers are spread over 2 Lego pieces. I much prefer if the headlights only are on one sticker piece. This is because extra care has to be put into lining up the stickers that represent the headlights, or else the iconic front end is not going to look correct. Another cool thing that I love about this car is the windscreen on this Lego model. It is a bespoke Lego piece because it is printed with Corvette lettering on the front of the windshield and has the Corvette logo on top of the piece. Another nice touch that the designer thought of was to use a red pie piece to represent the red area that can be found on the side view mirror of the real car. The rear diffuser of the Lego car is relatively spot on, except that on the real-life C8R, there is a flat part of the diffuser that extends laterally from the tires and connects to the rest of the diffuser's body that is not present on the Lego model. The exhaust is also spot on, with the representation of the real model. Speaking of exhaust, if you have ever had the chance to hear the C8R rev in real life, I would say that it is belching pure hellfire, and I absolutely love the sound of it. I would have to say the rear wing is an exact representation of the real car, with both of them being a gigantic rectangular shape. The Lego wing mimics the real one by using two 1x8 flat black elements. Then on the side of the Lego wing are two red 1x2 flat elements to resemble the red detailing that is also found on the side of the wing of the real car. Overall, I really like this version of the Lego C8R. As with all of the sets I have built and reviewed, every Lego Speed Champions models does a rather mediocre job of representing the swooping and elegant curves of all the cars. It is only when the Lego designers increase the piece count of the car, or you start building a Lego Technic model, that you start getting a more accurate representation of the body shape. Regardless of this, again, I really like this C8R Lego model. The complexity of the build is not as crazy as the Jesco, but it is still very enjoyable to put together. Please let me know what your thoughts about this set are in the comments section. Alright folks, that wraps up another Lego Speed Champions build. We will be building the other half of this set in a subsequent video soon enough. Thank you all for joining me in this build. Please remember to subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of these types of Lego builds, and hit that like button. I will see you all in the next build.